Hey, what's going on guys? TBL here, bringing you some more Destiny on the PlayStation 4. Now in today's video, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Arminius-D Legendary Auto Rifle. Now this bad boy is a favorite of those who visit the gunsmith, and of course he's been selling it quite a few times over the past couple of weeks with some good rolls, some not so good rolls. But in today's video, we're going to be focusing on two of the perks that you can potentially roll on this gun: Counterbalance and Persistence. As you can see, I've got a Persistence braced frame roll here, and I've got myself a Counterbalance braced frame roll. And over the course of this video, we'll be showing off exactly how each perk works and which one I've come to prefer over my time of using these guns. I've had them both for a really long time, and I've used them both to pretty good effect, and I've got to say, they both handle and feel very differently from one another. And in this video, we'll be showing you exactly what I mean. Alright, so first off, what do these perks do? Well, Persistence is a very interesting perk that allows your weapon to grow more accurate the longer it's fired. I do believe this perk comes stock on all doctrines of passing and is one of the reasons for why that gun sticks so hard to targets. It has, in my opinion, a noticeable effect on this archetype of auto rifle. Next up, we have Counterbalance, which eliminates virtually all horizontal recoil from your weapon and makes it all vertical, so your gun will shoot straight up rather than to the left or to the right. So without any further ado, let's head to our favorite auto rifle testing spot back in the Cosmodrome and see how these babies handle. Alright, now first up, we'll be taking a look at the Persistence braced frame roll. And you'll notice with this roll, even with braced frame, it behaves very much like a bullet hose auto rifle, firing straight up and then slightly to the left. You won't really notice too much of an effect of persistence here, and I'll explain why just a little bit later. But as you can see here, the recoil pattern very consistently shoots straight up and to the left. And for the most part, you'll notice the same thing when you're ADS. The gun will still have a bit of a leftward pull while it's rising, although the spread is a lot tighter. And thus far, you don't really feel the effects of persistence very much, but due to the effects of brace frame, the gun is still very easy to keep marginally on target. Alright, let's check out the Counterbalance roll. Alright, with Counterbalance, you'll notice a very clear difference with the recoil pattern here. Of course, it is completely vertical. This thing shoots straight into the sky. That's because of the effect of Counterbalance removing virtually all of the horizontal recoil from this weapon. The perk really seems to remove that recoil and add it into the vertical kick. And you'll notice the same thing when you're ADSing. This makes the gun super duper easy to control. It's really easy to keep it on target, especially with the combination of Counterbalance plus braced frame. I mean, with this combo, you really shouldn't have too much, if any, trouble keeping this thing on target when you're fighting enemies. It's very trivial to control. But alright, that's how the recoil handles for both my Counterbalance and Persistence variants of this gun. And while it definitely looks like the Counterbalance braced frame roll is the easiest to control, you gotta take into account here, we're shooting at a wall. It's a lot different when you're shooting at enemies, when a little something called accuracy and aim assist come into question, which is what we'll be talking about next. So the wall is a great way to test basic recoil patterns, but you can't really get a feel for accuracy and aim assist from it. And especially, Persistence will feel like it does nothing until you're facing off against an actual enemy. Then, you'll notice some very big differences between the way Counterbalance and Persistence works. Now again, the Persistence perk is described as making your weapon more accurate the longer you fire, and you'll really notice that change on bullet hose archetype of auto rifles like the Doctrine of Passing, the Arminius-D, and the Soul Stealer's Claw. And the gain in accuracy or stickiness to your target is very apparent. It feels like the Persistence perk activates very quickly, causing your weapon to progressively stick harder and harder to the targets that you're facing, overall making the recoil pattern almost as trivial to control as the Counterbalance braced frame roll. Now, I don't know whether or not Persistence affects aim assist at all. It is described as an increase in accuracy, but I did notice that especially in PvP, this thing was sticking to targets like nobody's business. It makes this thing pretty laser-like. And of course, while the Counterbalance roll is fantastic due to how easy it is to control, I found myself having a harder time staying tracked onto targets with Counterbalance than I did with the Persistence roll. Especially once gunfights started and people started jumping around, I just found myself having a harder time staying on target. Which of course might just be because I'm bad, but Persistence will really help you stay on target for longer periods of time in those longer gunfights, and I really appreciated that. There were even some times when Persistence allowed me to get some surprisingly sticky headshot kills. It has definitely got a noticeable effect. Overall, both these perks are fantastic on the Arminius-D. Counterbalance is of course the king of recoil elimination, and it makes this gun so easy to control. And even though the muzzle flash and recoil are pretty extreme on the Arminius-D, the combination of counterbalance plus braced frame really turns this thing into a veritable laser. And it's a great alternative for any of you Guardians out there who haven't been lucky enough to get yourself a Soul Stealer's Claw or Doctrine of Passing. But don't count out persistence. You might shy away from the small startup time the perk has before it really gets kicked into effect, but once it starts, you'll really notice a difference. The gain in accuracy and the ability to more effectively stay on target for longer periods of time is absolutely clutch. After all, if you're landing more shots, you're dealing more damage. And more damage is always a good thing. As a matter of fact, I've come to enjoy the feel of the persistence perk and just how sticky it makes my gun so much, it's actually become my perk of choice over counterbalance for the Arminius-D. I'm going to see if I can get myself another Soul Stealer's Claw with persistence on it now. That way, I'll just have a collection of high rate of fire auto rifles, one counterbalance variant, one persistence variant, and I'll be able to switch them out on the fly. So if you happen to get a Doctrine, a Soul Stealer's Claw, or an Arminius-D and you get persistence on it rather than counterbalance, don't count it out just yet. It's actually a pretty darn good perk. So play around with it a bit, see if it works for you, and then make your decision. But alright guys, that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully it gave you a little bit more insight on just how well counterbalance and persistence work. The short version is, counterbalance will grant you an immediate beneficial effect. The elimination of all horizontal recoil makes guns with counterbalance very easy to control. While persistence has a more nuanced effect, it'll grant you that additional accuracy and help you stay locked onto targets after you've been firing for a short period of time. And that's pretty much it. Be sure to let me know what you guys think of both of these perks in the comment section below. Do you have a favorite between the two? Be sure to let me know. But alright, it's going to be it for this one guys. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians stay frosty.